Welcome, everybody. My name is Jeff St Laurent, and as you can see, I'm not alone today. So in just a second, I'm going to introduce my awesome client. But in the meantime, I do record all of my live shows, and I put them on my website, sellingcoaching.com. I help coaches transition to a full-time business, provide all the structures and systems, and hopefully the confidence so you can actually get out there and market yourself so you can grow yourself a business. So if you want to learn more, if you write on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com, if you enter your name and email, that's not only going to get you my audio resource, which is launching your coaching business, the first 3 vital steps, but that's also going to put you into my email community. So you get some great information from me on a weekly basis, and you can learn more about any of the programs that I'm offering. One of those programs, called my 5-month GoProELITE group mentor coaching program, my awesome client went through. So let me welcome Coco to the show. Welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much. And
yes.
It's an awesome program.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And so I'm excited to have her today because I always love to, like we were talking about this before we went live, is I always love to have, bring coaches on through the process of our work, right? So we just finished 5 months program, right? So we're a certain of the way into your business, right? We're still in the beginning stages of it, but I love to have these interviews because I love to show other coaches out there like, okay, where did you start off? Where are you at after 5 months? Where are we going? And then obviously, like I said, I've had people on here multiple times because I love to show that progress because I like to say it's like this. It's really not that sexy behind the scenes, building a business. I don't know what you would say.
I don't know if sexy would be the word that I would use to describe like the hard work and the sometimes terror and, fun and creativity. But yeah, sexy isn't.
Exactly. And it's not always fun and it's not always easy. But it doesn't have to be complicated. So, Allie, let's start us off. So we just wrapped up our 5-month program, call it last month or so. Talk to everyone, like let them know, where did you start off? So you rewind, call it 5-6 months before we started our work together. Where were you at in your business and what made you say like, all right, I want to do this program?
Okay. 5-6 months ago, I was still completing my coach training at IPEC. So, I kind of just wanted to get a kickstart on starting my business, which was and still is my ultimate goal of, transitioning from my prior career into a full-time coaching business. And I was at as beginning as you can get. And literally, I had caught a bunch of Jeff's, whether it's the weekly seminars or the quick start program. And I really just liked what you were saying, Jeff. So I felt this was a really, really good way to start and get a process for starting my own business and get some direction and just get started. That was the beginning. I was straight up.
And I think what you said too is understanding is like in getting a process, getting a direction, feeling that confidence as you're starting off. Cause, and also another point that you said is like, well, you had watched some of my information, my webinars, some of my education, and you had connected with my style and what I was teaching.
Absolutely.
And that's a really big point I want to point out because as you know, Allie, which we'll talk about in a second, when I help coaches get their systems going, part of it is starting to get yourself out there and educating. And those are some of the building blocks that allow people when they come to you, they already understand more of the value of working with you as a coach. And I experience this now as a mentor coach for coaches, but then obviously when I started my life coaching business as well. So talk about, Allie, for you, like you said, I'm newer than new starting this off. So as we started the program, talk about now, what's some of the work that you started to do, that you started to understand processes of and started to put together?
Oh, well, just getting a process down just to really how to take, whether it was how you introduced us to the process of having a weekly show, a weekly email that gets put out, and just, certain times and certain things that I want to accomplish each week to grow my business, whether it's making a list of contacts, that people that I want to reach out to kind of just, talk to them and tell them what I'm doing and, ask how I can help them. And just literally the whole process that goes into that was so I felt very intimidating. You kind of made it natural and made it very organic to my authentic, to my story, which was huge, what you touch on. So it was authentic to my story, authentic to who I am and what I'm looking to do. And it just made it made it a lot less, it made sales a lot less creepy, and it made the whole process manageable and real. So sorry, I went on a few little tangents there, but
no, but that's, I love the
about.
words that you're using. It
Mhm.
sheds light on maybe how you viewed potentially, how do you have to get out there? What is selling like for a lot of people? Like when you use the word creepy, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just, there a lot of people have different interpretations
Mhm.
on what we need to do to sell our services.
Absolutely.
And it's just from our experiences with people in all different
Yes.
industries.
I was in sales for 25 years before this. So I have lots of opinions and lots of experience of different ways you can go. And, you know,
Mhm.
it's a lot. And some of them don't really land as well as you want them to. But
Yeah. Talk, if you will, about the blocks you had, or the challenges you had
uh,
starting as you started to do some of these processes and having
yes.
to write an email and get yourself out there, or put a little event together. Talk about kind of the, whatever we call them, the blocks, the
Oh,
limiting beliefs, that, because
I
I
had,
think those are the real
go ahead.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, one of the first ones that I remember encountering, and I remember because it was hard. It was like it was a big block. Was Jeff, you talk about writing literally like your initial email to your email community. I had such fear over this email as if I was writing like the State of the Union address. And I just had this fear of like, what are people going to say? What am I going to write? What if I have to say isn't that important? So all the gunk that you could think about, I had and kind of directed to this one introductory email, and I put it off. Jeff can tell you that. And I like made excuses. So everything that you can do around that. And then one day I just wrote the email and then I sent it.
What was that turning point? That where
Um,
just you were teetering. I've said this to you before, right? You were like, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
oh
I
my
can't do it.
God.
And then I remember the session. You just did
Yeah,
it.
I
What
just did
was
it.
it?
Well, I don't know if this was the exact session, but I have a feeling it was. It kind of like, Jeff, you said something once and you said it, and I don't know exactly what your intention, but you said, you know what? Sometimes it's easier done than said. And I was like, oh, and I just did it. And through your encouragement, there were lots of steps along the way that like, I just did it. And, all the little bits and pieces and recommendations and information kind of all came together. I included what I in and everything in the email, made it real, and just kind of threw it out there. And yeah, and along the way, that was the first, but there's been tons. The first video, the first weekly live video, the first, qualifying call. All of these firsts are now exciting to me and not terrifying.
Yeah.
And some of them I screwed up, and that's okay too, because it really,
Well, how about this? To your credit, I wouldn't say screwed up. I would say you the way you naturally were inclined to do it without any
right.
guidance was a certain way. And
Mhm.
then as I started to kind of you're like, Jeff, I've got this potential call or whatever. And you're
Mhm.
like, here's what I've done so far. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, here's how we can go. And we kind of like went back over and maybe smoothed out any bumps. And the
Oh,
bumps
very
aren't
well
bad.
done.
It was just more of understanding it through someone who's done it, quite a bit before. And that's where I found for you, that's where I found like your level of trust. You always had trust in me, but your level of trust and engagement for the process
Mhm.
of what I was teaching. That's why what I loved about you is that you're like, I'm all in. You're so bought in. And now it's a matter of, as you've done one thing at a time, getting past any of the inhibitions to actually move forward with it. And that's your
Mhm.
process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you feel like you've learned about yourself so far? And I would say so far because this is an ongoing process. It's not like we're done. There's no we're done in this business. But what do you
Oh,
feel like you've learned about yourself to this point?
well, I've learned kind of that execution and implementation is a motivator for me. Like doing the things is what makes me feel good and gets me going and even gets like the creative juices going. And, just having that program there and knowing like in the back of my head that I'm making efficient steps and I'm not going off on like, because you can Google how to start your own business, but like to be able to lean on that, to have confidence in the direction I'm going, and then just to be making these moves and what I'm learning, like just stay in motion. That was a big one, and how like big of a motivator that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about, if you can, obviously as we go through the 5 months together, there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things that happen in our personal world. And then it's like we're bringing this business in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like having a baby, right? It's just like, well, yesterday I didn't have a baby. Today I have a baby.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just there and it doesn't go away. It's like, it's almost like a business. And then it's like, oh, if we're not tending to the baby, we almost feel guilty sometimes. But,
Mm-hmm.
you had to deal, no, you have to talk about the specifics, right? But just normal things. Talk about what you had to learn to work in a schedule and honoring your business hours. Like I think in the beginning that for everyone that I work with, there's always that like, we all have great intentions. And the next thing you know, the day goes by and I didn't get anything done. Talk about that. That's an important process. I feel like you worked, it took us a bit, but you got to that place where you really started to put that time aside. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. That was one of, that may have been one of those like non-sexy moments that actually had incredible results. Like in the beginning, it's, as you said, sometimes it's hard you have things going on and, you put things to the side and be like, oh, I'll do this later, or or even just having concern of what should I tend to what's going on with my son, or should I tend to this? Should I do like, maybe I should take care of this. And plus you factor in a little like fear and a little gunk and little things you're worried about with your business. It all kind of piles up and makes it very easy, at least for me, to make excuses for doing things. But, your direction and your help, when you have that weekly schedule, and it can change and things can happen, but what you establish your time that you're putting into your business. And once you've established that time, that's the time. And you're working on your business. And like all of those processes for the week helped. It helped create structure. It helped create discipline. It gave me like concentration. And it also like, it just builds your confidence that this is your business. Like I wouldn't like not show up for work when I was working in like, working in corporate sales. Like I wouldn't do that. Why would I do that for my own business? So
that takes a little time to get to that space that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
If you think it, like it doesn't mean you didn't think about that when you started off, but then you compromise. You're like, this, something's not working.
Compromise is a perfect word for it, because your intentions are good and everything's there, but it just gets a little, it just gets a little complicated, and you got to figure it out.
And then in all honesty, what part of that is convenient? Your son needing you, the household, when you weigh that up against, I'm going to do this thing that, let's say Jeff asked of me that I know I need, or I know what I need to do, that I'm really not comfortable with, that initial email, let's say, and then mom, or, you're needed somewhere else. How almost welcome are those distractions?
Oh, very welcome. Very welcome. And another aspect of this, like I was in the group thing. So I was like, if I like, there would be a moment, be like, well, I can't possibly do, put together the event that I was planning on having when I have all this other stuff to do, or when, I don't know, when any excuse. But also between, like, there's accountability in your group. I wanted to, make my group kind of proud of me and report back good things. And also, like, how many weeks, I don't want to, I don't know. You have pride in your accountability, and that's really, the group is really good with that. And plus everyone's rooting for you and supporting you. So
how do you manage the, if I can say it like this, the disappointment that you might have while you want to, impress the group or, that type of thing, not impress, whatever, it is. We want to show up and be proud of what we've done. And then there are days or weeks where it just, with our best efforts, whatever we call it, rationalizing convenience or just plain, there was a fire, so metaphorically, right. And, or I got sick or whatever. How do you manage that enough to stay in the game? I think that's a big element.
Well, that never happened to me. No, that is very untrue. That happened to me all the time, and it is right. Very real. How do I manage that? You and the group are really great with that and understanding, and how I manage that within myself, and whether sometimes I got some coaching around it, which always helped, and went to my peers or to my coach or to you, Jeff, or, and just kind of like set myself straight on that. Or, as I mentioned before, sometimes I know that my motivator is doing something. So, sometimes like I could put something off and do kind of like veer off, but then wait a minute, I came back to my weekly email that I was sending out. Yeah. And that was like bing, like the reminder, and it pops up because it's part of my process now. So then I was like, okay, I'll just write the email. And then next thing you know, you have a little spark of something that pops up, and you kind of build back on track. At least that's what's happened for me. The process has brought me back a lot of the time.
Absolutely. And I'd say there's a thread that I'm hearing through it all, which is congruent with what I would want to happen is, and I talk about all the time, is you're part of the process early on in your business is learning yourself. To me, entrepreneurship and long-term success isn't just the mechanics of the processes and the things we have to do or should be doing. It's understanding how we operate in those, while doing those, how we manage. We talked about how do we manage our expectations, how do we manage our thought process, our disappointments, our even our successes. And as I'm starting to hear you more and more, you're coming out the other end, at least starting to understand yourself and how you operate in that space.
Mm-hmm. And I catch myself whenever, a feeling pops up, like I can catch myself now way beforehand. And now I know what to do to just stay on track.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Let me ask this in closing. What do you think the biggest value has been so far in working with me and having that mentorship for yourself?
Wow. I have to say, Jeff, the access that you offer your clients, to you and to your experience and to your intuition and just to your knowledge, like I laugh, like I feel like I could have came to you so much more, and I can think of certain times I was been like, why didn't I just reach out to Jeff? He could have helped me out, and so that's one thing. Access is used, the processes, just all of your information and your expertise is really valuable. Also, I loved how for a group program, I felt it was very individualized to each person, yet everyone was kind of moving forward together.
Yeah.
But I no one was left behind. Everyone I felt was got a lot of personal attention, and we always had you. So it was really great.
That's awesome. No, it's really, it was awesome working with you too. And the cool part is that we're still working together, because I know we're doing more, which is great. For sure. And so for those listening or watching this recording or live, the cool part is like I said in the beginning, is like I want for you now, Allie, is I want us to progress your business so that
now I'm on a roll.
you have another reason to bring you back onto the show.
Yeah.
Because I always have people on here, like I said, if I want to have people multiple times, it's like, well, we started off, we've completed a phase of the work, but especially for those that continue on, whether I'm working with them or not, like when they reach milestones, whatever they are, it's like, I want to bring you back. So I'm putting that out there to you, the universe publicly right now.
Yes, for sure.